To have you here. Welcome. This is Dr. Alana James, and today is a lingerers group set up for people who are all but dissertation or perhaps have just feel like they've been at this graduate work too long. But today's conversation is actually great for anyone in graduate school. So let's get started. We ended the last lingerers group asking, would any of these ideas help? So in today we're going to talk about how to address the 5 frustrations of ambiguity, balance, work-life balance, independence, development, and support. In future times, we will be talking about tricks for moving faster, the criticality habit, and mindfulness, not in that order. Hi, Jane. Glad you could join us. Our quotes. You've done it before and you can do it now. See the positive possibilities. Redirect the substantial energy of your frustration and turn it into positive, effective, unstoppable determination. Expectation is the mother of all frustration. So we have to look at what we expected and how we respond to our expectations not being met. Sometimes that'll take the frustration pain off. And our fatigue is often caused not by work, but by worry, frustration, and resentment. Raise your hand if you can identify with any of those. I imagine most people could. It's this place that we have where we are responsible for our own experience of life. And once again, cultivating growth mindset and resilience is the key. It's the key. It's the key for everything. And it's like a spiral. We get good at one part of it and we spiral on to the next. So it's a never-ending journey. Our goals for today are to provoke everyone in the group to think about their own life and structure and the work ahead, to take a serious look at the tools and ideas that you have available. Today we're focused on those available from Doctoral Net and come up with a plan for success. Specifically, we're going to discuss the 5 frustrations that often cause disengagement with a short list of how to address them. And group members will set goals for the month. Hope that sounds good. So we're talking about the 5 frustrations of Susan Gardner, prolific writer on PhD completion and retention. And I think did a really good job of coalescing 50 years of socialization research into these 5 frustrations. Ambiguity, work-life balance, lack of support, too much or too little independence, and skill development. So then we'll go into the goals that you'll decide. So as you're listening today, come up with some goals for yourself, because I'll ask everyone to type them in to be accountable to the rest of the group. And welcome to the people who are just joining us. You've just missed the opening slides and it is recorded, so you're all good. Okay, what about these 5 frustrations? When we survey doctoral and master's students, right now the survey responses are primarily doctoral. We see that 56%, this was at about an N of 200, it's now about 300, so they've gone up or down a few points. It's pretty stable. 56% have seriously considered dropping out. 55% had work-life challenge. Now, what does it mean to make that percentage? It means that you slated a 4 or a 5 on a 5-part Likert scale, and that meant that you had at least a frustration once or twice a month at this level that seriously impacted the way you felt about graduate work. So it's pretty serious. 55% had work-life challenges. 48% thought they didn't have enough support. 31% found the requirements or other parts of the journey quite ambiguous. And 26% found independence hard. That's dropped more. It's like 16% for independence and skill development. Just a little under 20 for each now. So it's significant. The first one is ambiguity. And we're going to start each of these with a head and heart work. Because ambiguity stalls us out. When we put our heads and our hearts together, we need to realize that it's not just about the content confusing us, but the fact that the confusion impacts our self-esteem. So we think we should be able to get through this because we have successful past experiences in school. But it's new, it's different, it's harder, and sometimes it isn't written in a way that makes sense to us. That doesn't mean that we can't figure it out. It just means that this whole way of thinking that goes with master's and then really changes at doctoral is new. And so our challenge is to not let it impact our self-esteem. There's also within the population of graduate students, a significant number of you suffer from what's called imposter syndrome, if we can believe the psychological data. So if that rings a bell with you, if you sometimes feel like somebody is just going to look around and find that you really are an imposter and shouldn't even be right here, then look it up. Look up imposter syndrome and look up the ways in which you can work with yourself to get past it, or to at least any challenge we face, when it's on the table, it gets better. If you want, later on, as we're setting up meetups, we could have a meetup for the graduate students who sometimes feel like they're an imposter, because it's useful to know that you're not in any part of this alone. Okay, now the tools we have at DoctoralNet are actually all about. They started out to be all about ambiguity. So there's the milestone checklist. There's things you can opt in for. There's self-assessments. So if you get a review back and you can't quite figure out why you got the comments you got, you can look at the full criteria to see if that's helpful. You can, as you do, come to the community webinars. You can help yourself move along. And then, of course, there's the maps that guide you through the process. We set this work up to help you with the ambiguity issue. And, you know, if it's still at the, I don't exactly get what this is all about stage, write Margie at doctoralnet.com and see what other resources, because we are resourceful on helping you past ambiguity. Work-life balance. This is the biggest one. Over almost 60% of you suffer with work-life balance. Well, guess what? Everyone has work-life balance issues, especially when you take on new things. It always happens. So there's some secrets to keeping the balance. And one of them that we discussed in the webinars at the beginning of the year, we're happy if you missed those to send you the links, is Covey's Quadrant 2, which is keeping your eye on what is important in your life, but not urgent. Now, why not urgent? Because the urgent stuff saps our energy. The important to us, but not urgent, gives us energy. So if we regularly work with that, we have more work-life balance. It goes hand in hand. Also, think about just 20 minutes a day, meditating, journaling, figuring out something that's totally crazy and it's just so much fun to do. And let yourself have one or two of those every single day. Now that's the head and heart work. On the doctoral net side of things, we have a 30-day challenge to improve work-life balance. And this and other webinars that I've done this year are going to be added to that challenge to give you more input. It was originally set up to be, you kind of do it and you didn't have very many catch-up emails. Now we're going to add to it and upgrade it a little bit. But basically, you need to take it on. You need to say, all right, for 30 days, I'm going to go back to the last slide, work every day on things that are important but not urgent, and give myself 20 minutes or more of meditation, journaling, and fun. Just that step will help. And then look into the rest of the 30-day challenge. There's a lot of interesting information and a good way of tracking it. Remember that all of this is about habits, and to remind ourselves of what we said last time, it's about our reptile brain keeping us safe by going, oh, urgent, oh, I have to do that now. Well, the reptile brain is not the brain that helps us have work-life balance. So you're trying to bring on something new, stack it between something that's old, take it on for more than 21 days. This is a hard one. Take it on for the month. Keep your eye on what it's like to be a satisfied, calm human being. And previous times also, but I'll give it again, that particular link, which is in the slides, and the slides are in the handouts, will take you to a person who's happy to give you a habit tracker. Useful. Not maybe so going, did I do it on the first or the second or the third? But for me, just filling in that I do it regularly just keeps my mind on the new habits. So what if you think you have too little support? Do the people in the room raise your hand if you have in your journey in graduate school felt at times like the support you needed was hard to come by? Doesn't mean it's something right now, but it was something in the past, could be now too, of course, that you felt like you had a bit of struggle with. Several of you raising your hands. And Elena says that it's her experience has to do with professors are always busy. Let's drill into that a little bit. First off, head and heart. What support looks like to you is an individual matter. So it's interesting. We think, oh, I don't have the support I need. But if we look at the broad range of all the students, we see that some people like touch, some people like smiles, some people call one kind of thing helpfulness. Other people like to be left completely alone until they call on the helper to be there. Now, here's the crux. Probably all of us like help when we ask for it. How it looks may be different, but we asked for it. Therefore, we want help. Well, the challenge with that is that from the other side of this continuum, from the professor's side, the people that we help are one of many. And they come into us. I used to say that the people I mentored, it was like working on their dissertations with them was like having a rainstorm of anvils. Can you imagine? I had over 50 people at one time. 50 different people could pop up in my email box on any given day with a dissertation they expected me to read. Think about that. Now, most of the professors you work with will not have so many people, but they are responsible for teaching classes. They are responsible for going to committees. They are responsible for a lot more work. And here's the crux. The other work is regular work. So they have it in their plans. They have it in their calendars. And when your work comes in, it's added on top. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. But we all have issues, and none of us like to have our routines upset. So Adrian's person has said to her, I'll get back to you in this length of time, just get used to it. But we all come also packed with cultural issues about respect. So, and this gets into the heart and head part. I don't respond well if I don't think I'm being respected. Your professor might feel like your work came out of nowhere, and they might feel like their time is not respected. I'm just making that up. But you can see where these things happen. So you have two people with head and heart issues involved. What's the answer? Well, negotiation starts it. Because no matter what you do, inadvertent miscommunications can happen. So I recommend that this is Covey's second rule, might be the first rule, to be proactive in your own behalf. So negotiate with everyone that you want support from. Here's where I am now. Here's the support I think I'm going to need. Here's when I think I'm going to ask you for it. Is that okay? Negotiate upfront. Don't give up if you're frustrated by the first, second, third, fourth attempt. Renegotiate, come back to it, but also look for other sources of support. And you all have, because you're here. And we are an alternative form of support. Support also may come from unexpected places. So keep your eyes open, keep the faith, keep looking. It may be that just the right answer will come from someone else. And that leads me to what Adrienne has brought up, that other fellows in her cohort or doctoral group tend to keep them to themselves and see group work and peer reviewing almost as taboo. It's a shame. I think they do it out of fear. But then I was trained in my initial academic world as an artist. And so as a Bachelor of Fine Arts, we were required to put our work on the wall and let everybody else tear it apart. And when you get into the habit of that, you see how much better your work gets. So all you can do is help guide them, say to them, it really works well. And then look for people in other arenas who will work peer-to-peer with you, because it's a really good way to work. Never ask for help when upset. The energy of your upset makes the other person shy away, even if they would offer help. So control your emotions, do what you need to do to feel strong, and then get proactive again. Now, the entire resources part of your websites. So you sign into your regular site, you go to the other resources tab, you get actually to a site that everybody gets to, which is our tools. And everything there is designed to be a kind of support. If you like support in video format, go look at the videos. If you like to do things, checklists, that kind of stuff, then you go to the opt-ins. If you like a whole section of material to come to you in different ways so you can pick and choose, then you're going to like the box sets. Now, in fairness, all the box sets are not yet made. They're not due to be finished until the end of the summer, actually. They're coming up about one a month. But sign up for the ones you want, and as soon as they're done, you'll get it. Find the skill development you need as well. And of course, there's always the webinars. Too much or too little independence. This is interesting because as a mentor, I see it being too much independence as being the challenge that comes to me the most, because people are lost, confused, don't know what to do, and they need a little guidance. So that's why they seek out. But there's also the other side of this, which is too little independence, which is a person who is trying to tell you how to do your work, whether you want to do it that way or not. So both sides are hard. Let's see what we think. Again, it's highly personal. I've worked with hundreds now, people in your shoes, and I don't think I've ever seen the same stories come by on this one, other than I'm confused, I'm unhappy, please help me. But everyone comes from a different place about how much you like it, what you like, how some people like a cheerleader, so they want to stay in touch enough to get a cheerleader. Some people don't want to, they want to disappear for 6 months. That's really hard, by the way, on your professor, because disappear for 6 months. When you come back, I can hardly remember who you are. So much has gone on in my life. So keeping the tether, the right tether, is good. Figure out what works from both sides. So share your story about this with your colleagues. Again, this might be the topic of a meetup, and decide who you need help from at different points. So it might be that you have people here. It might be the lingerers group is part of that. Manage the feelings that come from this. And that feeling usually looks like not being good enough. So, and that's on either side. If you feel like you have too much freedom, then you think, well, I'm not good enough. I'm confused, and something must be wrong. They expected me to be smarter or better. I hear that all the time. And then the other side is, I must not be good enough because they keep trying to hone my ideas. And I think I know where I'm going. What's wrong? So negotiate this, be honest with it, and keep finding new supports until you're happy with the level of independence you've achieved. Also, a lot of people work one kind of support privately and then another kind of support officially. The official support might be at a longer distance, like check in every 6 months with the university, and the private support is much more robust. Lots of choices there. Doctoral Net does 2 kinds of supports, the one opt-ins and box sets. They're both set up to be a lot of support to help you pass something. The 30-day writing challenge is the favorite of people. 35-minute videos. One comes every day, and it keeps you writing. And we love those. Yes, I did it. Responses at the end where somebody actually pulled out their writing every day. And then box sets, which give you a wealth of different ways of looking at the same subject, to really unpack what you might be missing. Skill development. Well, that last was a lot about skill development, but there are other things too. This one probably has the least emotional punch for you because, by definition, as a graduate or postgraduate student, you have already been successful at learning. So you're probably not too worried about your learning ability until you come up with a peer review from your committee chair or supervisor, and it doesn't make sense, or you don't like the tone, or you didn't feel respected. It makes you, for some reason, very unhappy. So the way to get past peer review, and we all get them and we all hate them, is put it away and then come back to it when you're in a critical mind. And then decide really where you want to go with that. You have a couple of ways to go. One is to say, I've looked at this critically and I disagree with you for these reasons. Another is to say, I've looked at this critically and I've decided to go a completely different direction. Thank you for the input. And so anywhere in the middle. So we get to a lot of this kind of thing with Doctoral Net from different angles. So webinars that might help. Recently, I did Begin with the End in Mind for docs and Begin with the End in Mind for masters. And they were designed to help you critically look at other people's work so that you could critically look at your own. Also, it's really important that you know what goes where. And we talk about that 2 or 3 times a year. Then research design comes into a lot of things, and you can do searches on qualitative, quantitative, etc., and design. Writing, I've given you one for basically on writing for critical thinking and for analysis. And if you're in the end game, as I know some of you are, you will want to look at survive your viva or final defense and how to get published. And I guess the story here is that there are skills to be developed everywhere along this path, and you're not done yet. And then after you're done, you're not done yet. That's the fun thing about growing and learning, isn't it? Okay, that's it for me. So I am going to, the people in the room are going to put up some goals for next month, if you would. Thinking about these things, maybe for the frustrations. I've asked some questions. What are you going to do this month to relieve frustrations, if you have any, to proactively advance your thesis or dissertation? And then I think we should kind of keep in mind that we're also building soft skills to make you that highly desirable candidate for your next great opportunity. So I think it's useful to have that as something in the back of your brain as well. And as you are all, please, typing in something you want to be able to say you did this month. For those of you who weren't here an hour ago, I need to tell you some interesting things. First off, if you have an Android phone, you can go to the Google Play Store now and download the DoctoralNet app. Please let Sonia at doctoralnet.com know if anything doesn't work on your computer. I'm typing that in. Sonia, S-O-N-I-A, at doctoralnet.com. We are also investigating a partnership with an editing company. So people in this room might be the first ones to go for this. If you have work that's pretty close to needing editing, please send it on. For free, you'll get back, two people will get back an edited copy, and our staff will get to know how this company's edits look. It's been recommended to us by a university. Universities are very aware that you need low-cost editing. These people are international. They edit for people who don't speak English as their first language, and they seem very, very interested. So we're going to send off one that we think is top grade writing, and we're going to send off one that we think has some obvious challenges, and we're going to see what the difference is between them. So that you should send to Alana at doctoralnet.com. And then the last thing is, I must say, I'm not noticing your goals for the month coming in yet, so hope you're typing. Meetups. You've heard me talk about them a couple of times today. I think there's a space for you all to decide things you want to talk about and just put it out there. And we can put it up in the private space and people can join you. So I want to investigate the wealth available to you through the broader international community, both in your own field and in others' fields. So some goals are coming in. Excellent. And I'm going to say goodbye to the people who are watching by recording. And I'll capture these goals so that those of you who come next month when we discuss, I think I can go forward twice. Next month, we're going to talk about the criticality habit. And then we're going to go to tricks, and then we're going to go for mindfulness, which is the overarching thing. So the criticality habit next month. And great for all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching more as we go on. This is Alana saying goodbye to the recording. Okay, recording's done.